my name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and this is Riff TV. We're talking to Melissa Jane Lightning. And Melissa, many people know you from the LA-based Led Zeppelin all-female tribute, Lady Zepp. So let's talk first about that. How long has Lady Zepp been together?
Oh, I think 2009.
Okay,
So that would be what? Almost 14 years.
There you go. So was that an existing band you joined, or are you the one that formed the band?
Me and the drummer formed it, and my mother named it, but it was basically me, the drummer, and the bass player were in another band, and I won't name it, but it was someone else had approached all of us individually at some point to join their Led Zeppelin project, and so we all did, and that's how we kind of met, and we all left at separate times, but we had such a good experience together, and we'd learned all these Led Zeppelin songs, and we wanted to, you know, like when you meet like really great musicians, it's like finding like a little gem, right? And so you want to do more things together, and so we were like, oh, I really want to do like more things, more jamming, more this, right, this and that. And me and the drummer, actually, we tried to do like a jazz fusion band thing, but no one wanted any part of it. And so we're like, well, we know like all these Led Zeppelin songs from this other band that we've done at one time or another. Why don't we do a Zeppelin band? And she just said, yes, let's do it. And so that was it.
I dare say, which is quite an accomplishment. You guys are like the premier all-female Led Zeppelin tribute. I don't know if there's another one, but I mean, you guys really stand out for a lot of reasons. And I think part of it is, let's be honest, how many Led Zeppelin tributes are out there? So if you're going to do that, you got to really make your band stand out, you know?
You got to own it. And I think one of the things I would say about Lady Zepp, right, is that we do Lady Zepp versions of Zeppelin. We're not like an impersonation band. We're not trying to be Zeppelin. We're actually being a tribute to Zeppelin. So we all have our own style and our own flair and our own thing. And we actually really jam the songs. And I think that's something that I'm actually really proud of, because a lot of other Zeppelin-esque bands, they seem to want to be more like impersonators, right? But that's not what I'm into.
Lady Zepp, I guess, as you're putting it, is a truest sense of a tribute act. I mean, paying tribute. I do like those other tribute bands. I'm a long-time supporter of a tribute band.
It's not talking crap. It's just
I'm just saying there is a difference. I'd say the main difference to me, when you have bands that not only play the songs, but they dress the part, to me, it's almost like rock and roll theater. And I dig that because it's fun for what it is. But you're definitely right. That's what makes Lady Zepp stand out. And because I think, too, if you were trying to do it the other way, people would be like maybe saying, who does she think she is? She's no Robert Plant. But you're putting your own spin on the tunes. That's what's cool.
I'm not trying to be Robert Plant. I'm trying to be MJ singing Robert Plant songs, right?
Yeah.
It's like I own it as me.
Yeah. And I think that's why you're able to do what you do, because you're kind of, like you said, putting your own spin on it, and you're not trying to be anything else than what you are. And that's why people come to the shows. They love what you guys do.
That's my intention, and I hope that, like, I think most people understand that and they feel it, because it's the truth, right? The truth is.
And obviously, you're a Led Zeppelin fan from before, but I was curious, doing Lady Zepp, and now that you kind of mastered these tunes and you're so used to doing them, would you say you become more of a fan of Led Zeppelin, or more of a fan of these songs from performing them?
Absolutely, like the biggest fan of Led Zeppelin. I did not grow up with Led Zeppelin at all, and like for me, I kind of grew up more like on Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin, a little different, you know. And my dad was a big Beatles fan too, but I knew of Led Zeppelin, but my parents weren't actually in, like, they weren't like huge Zeppelin fans.
Because a lot of us grow up.
Some people are.
a lot of us our influence are based around, when we're growing up, what our parents are playing in the house,
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Like parents have a big influence, and they can also teach you what you don't like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
what you do like. Like they can sway you in like in directions where you're like, oh, I want nothing to do with what they're trying to show me, or
I hope you
I
don't mind
like
me
it.
asking, but I detect a bit of a accent. It sounds like, are you from Australia?
Absolutely, yes.
So how old were you when you came from Australia over here, and what was that like?
I was like, I think I was 25 or 26, something like that.
Was it much of a culture shock, or would you say Australia is a lot like the United States? I mean, how different are the two?
The roads are as big.
Yeah, yeah,
The roads are the same. No, it's very different. Well, it's very similar and very different. Like I don't know how to. Oh,
well, I guess like, what I'm asking
this
is,
is what I like about you is you're a good you have the greatest questions, and
try to make
you
it
always
different. Yeah, I try to
you're
make it
so
different.
good.
And I do my homework, before I talk to a person. Yeah,
You're fantastic at asking the right questions. And Australia and the United States, they're so similar and so different.
yeah,
So it's like it's an easy place for an Australian to go to
yeah.
visit or live in because there's so many similarities, but there's a lot of differences culturally,
Yeah, that's
right?
what I would think. That's what I was asking. And so, like another question I had is, like, would you say Led Zeppelin? I mean, Led Zeppelin obviously is a band known around the world, but were they as huge like in Australia when you were growing up? Is that where you first became aware of them, or did you become aware of them over here in the States?
I became aware of him because of that person that asked me, "Would you like to join my Led
Ah,
Zeppelin band?"
wow.
And that was literally the trigger, right?
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
wasn't that I didn't know of Zeppelin, but absolutely Zeppelin had made it to Australia. They're
yeah, yeah,
huge,
yeah,
right? It
yeah.
was just that my father, he had become like a huge Beatles fan, and I think like Beatles fans
Yeah,
are
yeah,
Beatles fans, right?
yeah.
And my mum was Aretha Franklin and Janis Joplin, and so that's what she was. So it wasn't like Zeppelin didn't make it to Australia. It's just
Oh,
my
sure, they did.
parents were
They're
like on
known all
another
around the
radar,
world.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
Um,
just curious, like, were you aware of Zeppelin when you were in Australia, or did you become more aware of them over here?
I was aware of him as far as like I knew about Stairway to Heaven. I knew like Good Times, Bad Times. I knew like the like commercial stuff, Immigrant Song. I had no idea how phenomenal and fantastic they are and like the diversity of them. And like I started listening to just all the epic songs, right?
Yeah,
All the bigger songs. And um I started to realize also the intricacies of how involved they were and how they meshed together
yeah.
like this real heartbeat and soul kind of
Like
joining.
just look at two songs like Whole Lot of Love, Stairway to Heaven. That's kind of the two spectrums of. I mean, talk about diversity. Yeah, yeah,
Like yeah, and then you throw in like Kashmir, and then when the levee breaks, and then what is it, Riverside Blues, and then like you just keep going, right? And it just starts evolving, and you like, what don't these bands do? And then I also heard and one song I do myself is sorry, just In My Time of Dying.
okay, yeah.
I heard it in my time of dying, and I remember hearing that, and that just was like, oh, they do everything.
Oh yeah. I
They
mean
do everything. There's nothing they can't do.
that
They're
makes,
just phenomenal. They're so eclectic. They're so
I mean,
um
I love rock
musical.
and roll. That's a great anthem. That's a great way to get the audience going. A band from England doing a song about California. I mean, you can.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
they have Going to California, Rain Song, all these things. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, and you do your own original music too. I know. So like how aware of your Lady Zep fans that you have your other music you do your original music.
I would say like the Zeppelin influences probably the progressive rock band the most.
Yeah.
So that one's called Final Gravity. And so yeah, because Zeppelin kind of has that progressive rock kind of feel, right?
And so I mean you kind of got both worlds going too. Like you get to do the thing you do with Lady Zep and have fun with that, and
Yeah.
that helps obviously pay the bills. And then you get to do your own original music on the side, which has got to be fun. So I know Final Gravity, you guys have released a full length, is that correct? Or are you working on any new music?
We released an album, I believe it was 2021.
Something like that. Yeah, right before, yeah, right after the pandemic.
Right after, it's called Surviving Humanity. But what's so funny is we actually started that album, I want to say like 11 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Like 11 years before it was released. So
Yeah.
it was like, 2009 or something like that. And we came up with a title like, I want to say like 2014.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
And so like the coincidences of releasing it when we did, and we're going through this pandemic, and it's like surviving humanity. It wasn't actually planned at all. It was like all coincidence.
Just came out. Yeah, and Final Gravity. What I love to always ask people, what's the story behind the band's name? Great name. I mean, I never heard anything like it. Kind of, it's out there. It's great.
It sounds like something that's like
strong,
very
powerful,
emotional or super like sci-fi, but actually Final Gravity is a beer process. So like when you have the separation of the beer, it's the final gravity, and then count, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, wow.
Yeah, and so Final Gravity is a band that was created around beer.
Wow.
Everyone in the band loved beer, and I was the last member, so I actually replaced their original singer. And so, but when they originally formed, they formed because they all loved beer and they wanted a reason to get together to drink beer, make music, which they're all great musicians, and that's it. And
well, look at that. I mean, a band formed around drinking beer. How fun is that? And you're actually teaching people, because I had no idea what Final Gravity even meant. So we're learning something here.
Well, here's the greatest manifestation that we had was when we did release our album. We created a Final Gravity beer.
All right. And
so this was Sincerely Satan. It was brewed at Transplants Brewing. Wow. And Sincerely Satan was, I believe, the second song on that album we released. And
you're in good company. I know Kiss has their cold gin, Iron Maiden has their beer. So you're in good company.
Yeah. Well, if you're called Final Gravity, like it's like, how can you not have your like a beer released, right?
And how did that come about? Like, did you guys go and research like a company, or did they reach out to you?
No, it's ridiculous. The owner of the beer brewery was the neighbor of the bass player something like 8 years prior. Wow. And they became friends, and then but the neighbor that opened this brewery wasn't even into beer until our bass player like turned him on to beer. And then he loved beer so much he opened a brewery, and it was just,
it's crazy, but
one of those like how many coincidences can you have in a row kind of thing.
Have you ever thought, since the band loves, got kind of formed around drinking beer and loving that, have you ever thought about like having your shows like beer tasting? I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. And actually when the pandemic was on, we did like a bunch of like little what do you call, like, I don't know, YouTube videos. Where we had the split screen thing, and we did things about like whiskey, because we're actually all into whiskey, scotch, and beer.
Wow. Yeah.
Because who isn't, right?
Yeah.
And so we would talk about like how much we like this or that, and also different songs. And we would we did these kind of quarantine videos where we did like a couple of Rush covers. We did a Queen's Right cover. And so we would talk about it, but then we would all bring like a different beer onto the show and taste it and critique it, right?
Because I don't know if you ever thought about this either, but like having that kind of connection, having your own brand or something of beer. Like I know this other guy, he's in this band, the Hollywood All Stars. He tells me that they were gonna play like at a winery. I mean, you could do all kinds of different events like that.
I like wine. I like all of them.
Just a different kind of thing to get your band out there, a little more.
Yeah, but I think like when you like truly have like that, I really love this or that,
People
and
can tell if you're faking it or you're just
yeah.
yeah.
So
So
like when we came out with this beer, I don't know that they still have it or not. Like it was like a seasonal thing, but it's a blood orange imperial red IPA. I gotta tell you, it was the most delicious beer I
wow,
ever had.
wow.
Like where I I just was obsessed with it.
Oh, there
Um,
you go. Yeah.
and I'm not trying to sell it to you because I don't think
No,
it's like
but
available,
but
you
hey,
know?
that's the cool thing. I mean, especially if you're going to put your name on something, you better be
Yeah.
behind it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it was like it was a sort of beer where it's like, oh my God, this is the most amazing. Like if you like IPAs. So the other three band members, they're super IPA drinkers. I'm not so much an IPA drinker. I'm a little more like into like the Belgian blondes and
Okay.
things
Okay.
like that. But that and what was it? It was a 9.5% beer. It was insane. The
Wow.
strongest thing ever. And it was amazing. I thought it was
Yeah.
incredible. I
Yeah.
was blown away. So I think like if you're gonna do something like that, that's how you need to feel.
And that's what's cool about having something like that is, I mean, most people go out and recycle that or whatever, but you have a bottle with your band's name on. How cool is that? That's gonna be worth
Yeah,
something.
I'm never throwing that one out.
Uh, yeah, there you go. And it's interesting to find out Final Gravity wasn't a band that was formed around you, but they were an existing band that you joined. So my question there is, once you joined, were you allowed to come in and sing the way you sing, or did they want you to kind of stick to the way the original singer?
Oh no. Well, let's backtrack a little bit here. So Final Gravity, they opened for that Led Zeppelin band that I
Oh,
used to be in.
oh, okay.
And that's how they found me. And so they opened for us, and it was me and the I think it was the drummer. So Leanne and
Yeah.
Miko were both in that band.
Wow.
And so they opened for that band at a little place in Hollywood,
Yeah.
and they thought we were so good, or they at least thought the drummer thought I was a really good singer, and
Yeah.
he approached me. Um, he sent like a little promo or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Video.
proposal package
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the venue we performed at because we had a residency there.
Wow.
And they gave it to me and I'm like, oh, what's this? And it says, oh, I'm doing a solo album and I think you're a great singer and I'd really love you to sing on my solo album and this and
Wow.
that. And so I hit this person up and it's his name is John Cheminsky.
Okay.
He's the most amazing drummer I've ever met. He's the drummer of Final Gravity. And he said he wanted me to do a song on his solo album. And so I got reached back to him and I said, oh yeah, I'm interested. And he said, well, what I can do is I own this studio and I can give you studio time, like as a
Yeah.
return for your services. And I'm like, yeah, okay, it sounds like fun. He had
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful studio and he did his little solo album thing. And then we had a great time. We kind of like just hit it off as
Yeah.
friends.
Almost like a practice session, like to see.
Yeah, yeah. But what happened actually was I was in this band Sin, a metal band, which was my other original project.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
remember. Yeah.
yeah, we needed a drummer. And so I said to him, oh, how you said you'd give us some studio time? Well, actually, I just need like a drummer to fill in for some shows. Would you be interested in learning all our songs
Yeah. Yeah.
and performing these shows? And he
Wow.
said yes. And so that happened. And he played a few shows with Sin. Then his band, Final Gravity, they had a show at the Avalon. I don't know if you know the
Yeah. Yeah.
Avalon,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and they were opening for Fate's Warning. And it
Oh
was kind
wow.
of like a biggish show, for the prog
Progressive
scene.
metal band. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But when he hit me up, I was in Australia at the time,
Wow.
and he said, "Yeah, we need like a singer. I was wondering if you like could fill in, learn our whole album, and do the show, just this one."
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, I'll return to like the US like 2 days before your show. And this was a week before the
Yeah,
show
yeah. Wow,
as
wow.
well. And so I'm like, okay. And so we organized, so I had a week to learn the full album, and then we had a rehearsal the day I landed, and then I had 1 day of rest, and then we had the show.
And for the fact that you pulled it off, I mean, that says it all, you know?
Well, I did it, and I guess it went so well that they then said, "Can you be our permanent singer?"
Wow, wow. And how surprised were you when they, you know, you're going with the intention of just doing the one show, and then they ask you? That'd be a great feeling.
Well, the other thing too is I was like, "Can you be our permanent drummer in Sin?" So we kind of like joined each other's bands,
How cool is
right?
that? Yeah.
It was
And
so
then,
cool.
yeah.
It's so
And
cool.
is Sam still together, or are you still?
Absolutely. And we actually we released a song that was in a horror film.
Oh yeah. Okay. Talk a little bit about that. You were telling me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so last year there was a horror film called The 11th Hour Cleaning. It's like a suspense thriller horror. It's this ghost that like I don't know, haunts like your deepest whatever
Okay.
whatever you don't want, it'll manifest for you.
But Sam has a song in there, so check it
We
out.
have a song, and the song is like super featured. I was actually like blown away.
Yeah.
So John has his recordings. He has this really cool recording studio where actually we would do all the recordings for both Final Gravity and Sin, and it's under two names. So it's Eargasm Studios is one division of it, and Atlantis Recording is the other one.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's really cool. And so we did that, and so through that, like he was working with these people where he was doing like some of the voiceover tracking for
okay.
the film,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they knew him, and they had a relationship, and they said, oh, we'd really love for one of your bands to like write a song for the song, like for the film.
Wow, wow.
And so we actually got asked to write this
Yeah,
song. So we watched kind of like little excerpts out of the film,
yeah.
and like, okay, let's write a song. And we just
What was
sat
that
down.
like? I mean, that's got to be a different process opposed to just going in and writing a fresh original song, to sitting down and looking at scenes from a movie and kind of basing it on that.
It's kind of there's a little bit of pressure because you're trying to fulfill someone else's vision.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he even had like a vision of the way he wanted it to sound. And so he had sent like a Alice in Chains type song and being like, I want it kind of like this.
Okay.
And this is the story. And it's like, okay, so you've got all this stuff.
Yeah.
In a way, it kind of helps, but it's also a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, yeah. And so you guys working towards new music with Sin and Final Gravity now, or?
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
definitely with Final Gravity, we're definitely we're actually in the studio every week.
Oh wow.
Right now. And we're writing a bunch of songs.
And
But
I guess I gotta tell people, in addition to your talent as a singer, like I watch some of the videos you have on, you know, your Facebook page and YouTube, and especially with Lady Zep, everything you do, I love. But just watching your stage, I guess, charisma or whatever, the way you perform on stage, you've got a command of the stage. People really got to check those out to see what you, and go even better yet to go check the band out live. But
thank you.
you got videos up that people can watch, like if they would go to YouTube for Final Gravity.
There's so many videos. I would go to like Lady Zep page, LadyZep.com.
Yeah.
There's so many live videos that are really cool, and there's so many like amazing photographers that have captured those live shows. There's a Green Man is one, like if you go to his page, he's done some great stuff. But yeah, you just go to LadyZep.com and like everything's linked. Sinband.com was the other one. Final Gravity.
Obviously. Okay. Well,
like all that. Yeah.
Alyssa Jane, it's been great talking to you again, and I want to welcome you back anytime you want, and maybe next time what we could do is I'll listen to some of the final gravity stuff, more in detail, so we can talk specifically about that, or even sin. Just I'd like to hear some more of it first. But the stuff I've heard so far, I love, and like I said, you're just great at what you do. So thanks for doing this today. And the interview we just did will be going up probably next week or the following week. I'll let you know, but feel free to share it. And like I said, you're welcome back anytime. Just keep that in mind, okay?
Thank you so much. You're always wonderful, and you always have the really good questions. Love it.
Well, that's what we try to do. Keep it interesting. I'm sure when you do these interviews, you must get asked the same old questions. So we try to make it interesting for everybody. Yeah.
Questions sometimes.
Okay, thank you. You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.